In the 9th century, stories about David's rule in Jerusalem transformed into ballads recited in the court of David's successors. How powerful is this? Any takers? How powerful will these ballads and recitals be?
Rabbi, is very powerful because what it did almost make him immortal. I mean, he lives on forever.
Yep. I would say the first movie, this is before it's written now. So you can put whatever you want to put with it. And this is when we have an embellishment of oral legends of David's conquest to match the territorial extent of the North Israelite Omrite state. What do I mean by that? In the 9th century, you have these things being performed about the conquest of David. And it is matching to the extent of the North. You take something that was local and then you say that it happened all the way. It's like something happened in Vegas, but you say, yeah, it even went all the way to New York. I'm mentioning Omri because he's extremely important. Mr. Jason has mentioned him countless times. The archaeological evidence that we have shows that there was no united monarchy of Israel in the way that the Bible describes it. You know how the Exodus is described in the Bible? And we had to go and reconstruct it? We have to do the same with the so-called united monarchy. So I repeat it again. The archaeological evidence shows that there was no united monarchy of Israel. No, David goes and conquers and then brings everybody together and he's ruling over them. Not. Nope. That is not how it happened. We present the evidence as well. Number 2, it is highly unlikely that David ever conquered territories of people more than a day or two's march. I'm even being nice by adding 2. From the heartland of Judah, we would prove that. Number 3, Solomon's Jerusalem was a stronghold of a local dynasty of rural tribal chiefs. The temple that he built that was so glorious, we would look at that. Judah slowly develops from highland chiefdom to kingdom. Slowly. But for most of the time that the North was established, Judah lives in the shadow of the North Israelite Omrite state. They lived in the shadow. When the North was on the world stage, where was Judah? Mr. Jason has mentioned it countless times. The Davidic dynasty survives the rise of Damascus and the fall of the Omride dynasty. With this, they that lived in the shadows, that is Judah, told a story that favored them and made us, let me personalize it, us, the North, a forgotten kingdom. So now we are standing in the North and we want to set the record straight, backed by scholarship. I'll repeat that again. At the rise of Damascus and the fall of the Omride dynasty, let's say the North, the Davidic dynasty survives. During that time, they lived in the shadows. We were on the, when I say we, the North, forgive me, I'm personalizing it because it's kind of personal. Forgive me. During that time, we were on the world stage and they were in the shadows. But at the fall of the Omride dynasty, those that lived in the shadow told a story that favored them and made those who were on the world stage a forgotten kingdom. So now we need to set the record straight, telling it historically, with no emotions, with no feelings, from the North's point of view. What happened? That is why I titled the series No Longer in the Shadow of Judah. In the late 8th century, we have the first written versions of the tales and ballads about Saul, David, and Solomon's succession. And they combined northern oral tradition with southern ones. And it was this that served as a unifying national epic for Hezekiah's kingdom. It was this time when Judah becomes an Assyrian vassal. Israel has fallen. Torrents of refugees from the north come to the south. It was this time, Mr. David said it beautifully, that Judah emerges as a full-blown bureaucratic state with a mixed population of Judahites and Israelites. And it was translated as a united monarchy. We beg to differ on what you wrote. The archaeological work has been done. Historical work has been done. Now let's present it. And let's see where the chips fall. Like I said, it's a simple intro. Next week, buckle up, because we've got a story to tell.